Hi everyone, this is Christina Barr and you're watching Black Tea News. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Black Tea News, and I have a much more fun show to talk about because I know yesterday was kind of a drag, but that's just how the news was. But there were some juicy, very juicy things. I said the tea was good today. The tea is good today, and most of this is like cultural kind of thing. So if you want some hard, fast hitting news today, there's a little bit in there, I guess. But we're gonna be talking about Nicki Minaj versus Joy Reid over some COVID tweets. That I promise you it is exceptionally juicy. So I want to talk about that. And also my sister called me last night and said, I need you to light someone on fire for your show tomorrow. And I'm just like, who? And she's like, AOC for that dress she wore at the Met Gala. And so I was like, yeah, I already saw it. I already plan to talk about it. And I know that's how like other people are like headlining their show. I listened to a bit of Ben Shapiro's show today and people were talking about AOC, but man, this Nicki Minaj thing, I will be talking about that for a minute. So before we jump into that, also there's like the hearings going on with like, Secretary Blinken, and I saw a snippet of Rand Paul digging into him, so I will play that at the tail end of the show. So you're gonna have to, and you're gonna have to endure the Twitter tea today, because I'm in for the Twitter tea today, and I'm sorry, it's not just the news, it's the pop culture stuff, and I think it's all sort of relative, and we'll talk about that. But before we jump into that, I want to encourage you to go to blacktnews.com, check out different articles that I've written, different content that I have there. Please share it. Thank you to everyone who shares, likes, subscribes, all the good stuff. Please visit blacktnews.com/donate if you would like to help the show. You absolutely can do that. I appreciate everyone who shares the content, who gets other people to like and share and subscribe and everything like that. But if you could be so kind to go the extra mile, and if you would like to support, that opportunity is absolutely open to you, and I appreciate that as well. And also check out the store. We do have good items in there, stuff, with the Black Tea logos on there. Be Better Not Bitter, love that one. Constitution's Glorious Liberty document. You're Not That Special, got that on a mug too. I'm Not the Victim You're Looking For. Of course, we got the goat hoodie and shirts and stuff you can check out. I was working on something, but I didn't have enough time before the show, so you're gonna have to watch the socials. I got a good shirt coming up, a couple coming up. I do want to thank you, the Brighter Michigan PAC, for allowing me to use the space in the studio. Again, if I say something that triggers you today, they don't care. I don't care. It doesn't work like that. They're not my boss. It's just a mutual relationship. I'm using the space, so there's no one to complain to. I will be here talking. So you're always free to just scroll elsewhere. Scroll elsewhere if you don't like the tea today. But the tea, I said, is good. So yesterday, Nicki Minaj. Well, there was the Met Gala, and I don't ever know about when the Met Gala is going to happen until I see it trending and people talking about the outrageous outfits, the political statements that people are making, yada, yada, yada. So, I guess people were talking about Nicki Minaj and prep for this because this is something that she would normally go to, but Nicki hasn't been apparently going to things. And the reason she hasn't been going to things is because of COVID. And so she was talking to people making such comments, and she said, I have an infant with no nannies during COVID. Who mad? Not risking the health to be seen. One yourself. So that's what she tweeted when people were talking about how they haven't seen her. So kudos to her for actually taking care of her child, because a lot of people don't. So she's thinking about her child. So from there, she started having conversations with a lot of people online, writing back to her about their COVID concerns, their COVID reactions, and her concerns back and forth. So, and she also made notice that I guess people were saying that reported that she was going to be at the Met Gala and then decided to cancel. And she tweeted that out like, y'all believe this? So in other words, she didn't intend to go. According to what she was saying through her tweets, she planned to stay home for the safety of her child. So anyway, so she's going back and forth with people. They're talking about COVID, and she ends up dropping this weird bomb, I guess. And she says, my cousin in Trinidad won't get vaccine because his friend got it, became impotent. His testicles became swollen. His friend was weeks away from getting married, and the girl called off the wedding. So just pray on it and make sure you're comfortable with your decision, not bullied. So, people were talking about this tweet for sure, because there are jokes like, that wasn't COVID, that wasn't STD. People are making jokes like that, going back and forth a bit. And some people are like, this is amazing, and just kind of taking it, a lot of people just took it for a silly sort of tweet from a rapper, you know? But some people are really upset about Nicki using her platform like this. Now, it does seem kind of far-fetched. FYI, though, just a little thing, Vayers does have people report that kind of stuff happens. Is it something, no, just another disclaimer on top of the disclaimer I just gave you, anyone can, people report things to Vayers. It doesn't mean that they certified or verified that all the things that people are reporting necessarily means that those things are true, or that it's not some kind of coincidence from taking the vaccine, but people report. So there was like, I did check it out. I did see it. There was over like 700 people who did say that they had impotency or swollen testicles. And like, that was apparently a thing that people were reporting. I'm not saying that the vaccine causes it. I'm not saying that it's not a coincidence, but FYI, that is something that is on the Vayers site. And this story overall and that's why the person decided to not get married. I guess it wasn't for true love. So it just sounds a bit absurd. So, but if you read the flow of these conversations, Nicki is responding to people, and of course she has a very big platform. She has a lot of people who are following her, but she's not doing a PSA, don't get the vaccine kind of thing. As a matter of fact, there's other tweets as it goes on, and she says, someone says, I know that I had to get the vaccine because they wouldn't let me look for a job or get a job to earn some money, and now I'm unsure. Well, that seems like a typo. Unsure about getting the second vaccine. And she said, I know, babe, a lot of countries won't let people work without the vaccine. I recommend they get the vaccine. They have to feed their families. I'm sure I'll be vaccinated as well because I have to go on tour, etc. And so, and then someone commented and said, why couldn't you say this in the first place? And then she ended up replying to that person and said, I can say what I want to, the internet can't bully me, which she's correct. She's correct on that. But people defending Nicki are pointing to this tweet saying, well, Nicki says she's going to get vaccinated. She says she's going to get vaccinated basically because people are being forced to get vaccinated. So, I mean, I would like if people took a stand and said, you should get vaccinated, advocate for it because you feel that's the best thing for them to keep them safe, if that's how you feel anyway. But that should be the advocacy for the vaccine. People saying you have to get it because you have to work or you're not going to be able to feed your families. That is a problem. And as a society, I think we should all stand up and say it's wrong to create this ultimatum with people whether they can eat or have the vaccine. So that's really where I wish kind of people would stand up more for it. But she's clearly having a conversation with her fans back and forth on Twitter, and social media is a way that people can communicate with their fans very easily. So people who say, well, she's using her platform irresponsibly, it is your fault if you want to get your medical advice from a rapper. And I don't mean this to necessarily, I'm not trying to demean Nicki, but she's not a, you should cover a conversation with your doctor. And people who, and she's going to go back and forth with Joy Reid. You shouldn't listen to Joy Reid either, because Joy Reid is a hack. A lot of people on MSNBC are hacks. It's not like the gold standard of news. And her opinion has changed based off of who is in office, according with the vaccine, which Nicki does point out, which is funny. So you should have a conversation with your doctor, and you should do research yourself, and you should come to a decision. But people don't even like those kind of conversations. But if you're upset because this grand star Nicki Minaj is being not good with her platform, not being responsible with all the millions of people who follow her, because she's having a conversation with them about COVID, that is your fault. If you don't want your kids looking up to Nicki Minaj and getting, like, taking her word as gospel, that sounds like a parenting issue. If you are an adult that you want to take her word as gospel, that sounds like a personal issue. But you don't need to come down on Nicki Minaj because she's having a conversation with people, retweeting them, responding with them as they're talking about all this going down. That is my 2 cents on that. But we still got some more to go. So then, Joy Reid goes on her show, and she starts talking about Nicki and her tweet. And it wasn't a lot, but it was enough to get Nicki mad.
And people like Nicki Minaj, I have to say this. You have a platform, sister, that is 22 million followers. Okay, I have 2 million followers. You have 22 million followers on Twitter. For you to use your platform to encourage our community to not protect themselves and save their lives, my God, sister, you could do better than that. You got that platform. It's a blessing. It's a blessing that you got that people listen to you. And they listen to you more than they listen to me. For you to use your platform to put people in the position of dying from a disease they don't have to die from, oh, my God. As a fan, as a hip-hop fan, as somebody who is your fan, I'm so sad that you did that. So sad that you did that, sister. Oh, my God.
So she comes forward, but she's not only saying she's using her platform responsibly, she's saying that Nicki is putting people in a position to die. So that's a reason to take something like that personally. So I can understand Nicki going off about this. And so, but it's so interesting how Nicki decides to go off. So she says 2 white men sitting there nodding their heads because it's Uncle Tamania doing the work. Child, how sad. So that's hilarious. And it's hilarious because Joy Reid has called Clarence Thomas an Uncle Tom. She's come out and spoken about Senator Tim Scott and referred to him as used words that basically mean a token, and implied it in other times too, which I have some video that I want to share. So it is hilarious to me because that is a boomerang that is coming right back. That is some much deserved karma. So Nicki Minaj, she goes on, and she says Tamania purposely chose to ignore these tweets and others. I wonder why. So the tweet that she points out is the one when she tells people that she's probably going to have to get it, and is talking about other stuff with the vaccine. And she also put out a poll that said which one is better or which one are you going to get, and so on. So she's never talked about not getting it or necessarily discouraging people from get it, but she mentioned someone that had swollen testicles and stuff. So I don't know if this story is true or not. If I had to guess, that is a little too wild to seem to be real. But there have been people who've claimed such effects from the vaccine. But if she got on her platform and actually started tweeting out articles of children who have passed away, young people who've passed away from taking the vaccine. There was I believe he was a 13-year-old boy from Saginaw who died in his sleep after taking his second dose, or people who've had really bad reactions. I talked about somebody I know had a really bad allergic reaction after taking the vaccine because his doctor thinks that the vaccine attacked his immune system, and then when he was exposed to a cat, he just really broke out. So there's reaction. So if she actually did some verifiable information, that would make people really hesitant, they would be off the wall mad about that. They'd be super mad about the hesitancy that Nicki would be pushing, even though that stuff is verifiable and legitimate. And the truth is, obviously those cases aren't happening in a rapid amount, but there's a lot of people who don't have true informed consent, and they don't, not that they're not informed of possible side effects and things that can happen, especially to younger people. But they don't even really have consent because they're trying to force people to take it, and they have to choose between feeding their families and having a job or getting vaccinated. So that's the true tragedy, and that's the story we really should be talking about. But Joy Reid's like, oh man, Nicki, you're using your platform wrong, and they're not the way that we want you to, and you're putting people in the position to die. People make their own decisions, their own choices, including if they want to listen to Nicki Minaj about their medical advice. That is on them. But Joy, you are a news person, and in 2020, when Trump was the president, she pushed vaccine hesitancy, which Nicki did point out, and I'll get to that in a second. But there were some other articles that Nicki pointed out, which were lies, or she says they were lies. Nicki Minaj says she refused to get vaccinated for the Met Gala. Fans respond with research. Nicki Minaj says she's skipping the Met Gala over its vaccine requirement. Nicki Minaj won't get vaccinated. She says she's worried about swollen testicles. Those wouldn't be her testicles. That would be swollen, obviously. And so she said she cited her young child as not being there. So there was a tweet about the Met Gala, and she said, if I was going to be vaccinated, it wouldn't be for the Met Gala specifically to go there. So, and she said she's going to do research. She's going to read up on it. She's going to see what's best. But she's also said she doesn't think she has much of a choice. She wants to get back to work and do touring. So she also ultimately thinks she's going to be forced into it as well. But people don't like that. People don't like questioning it at all. And so she did bring up with Joy some other stuff. So she came hard at her. And so she called her a lying, homophobic coon. I guess I can join the reindeer games too. People can go on TV and lie on me. I can report on them too, right? Doesn't have to be truths. It can be half-truths. Uncle Tamania asked who on earth would trust the FDA guys, and which is true. She said, I mean, will anyone at all ever fully trust the CDC again? And who on God's earth would trust a vaccine approved by the US FDA? How do we get a vaccine distributed after this broken Trumpist nonsense has infected everything, even if Biden wins? So she was pushing vaccine hesitancy. She even had a show when someone came on and they were talking about Black people specifically having vaccine hesitancy because of past events, particularly the Tuskegee experiments, where they said, hey, here's free healthcare, and they're experimenting you to see the effects of syphilis. So that was a thing that happened. And that's something that people should have in their minds. And you know what? That doesn't matter if you're Black or white. History's for everyone. They can look up the stuff and see that the government is not always on the up and up. And that's why informed consent is important. And everyone who is celebrating the mandates where you have to choose between your job, feeding your families, or being sticked with something you don't want, that is a very authoritative trash opinion. You guys suck. You just do. There's a reason why informed consent is important, and we should try to fight for it. Whether you are vaccinated or not, we should at least be able to stand together on that. And so she also pointed out the Joy Reid controversy from homophobic blog post to a hacking claim. So she had a blog where she wrote some unfavorable things that her leftist, post wouldn't appreciate, and Nicki Minaj just pointed to the article. And so Joy Reid tried to claim that she was hacked, like she didn't write those things, but then she had to come out and apologize because obviously she wrote that and she just got pegged. So there are people trying to say, well, Joy Reid, she explained it, that she changed her mind. She did her research, blah, blah, blah. No, she's a political hack. She's a political hack, and she goes on MSNBC and she'll lie and she'll twist things to whatever fits the agenda. Like, I've seen a lot with the critical race theory things and other, yeah, my sister's on here. Yes, Nicki with the receipt. She had some receipts. She did a good job. Doing a clapback, and I'm here for it. I'm excited about it. I'm so excited about it. And Joy had other stuff that she was hesitant about. And she even after she got vaccinated, she said, I too am one with the vax down, but even one vax down, like I guess she'd been vaccinated with one shot, but she said she's scared when she get the second shot, she's going to be too scared to be out there wild and no flying, no indoor activities for me. Nope. And we double mask for our family, the hospital style one with the cute cloth on top. We will still be doing that for the foreseeable future. So that hospital mask, this says right on the box, by the way, that it doesn't protect you from COVID, but I guess with the cloth one on top of that, you could just get an N95, but whatever. And so this is an older tweet. This is from April, but people were complaining. People who are pro-vaccine were complaining about people like her, because if you're still scared to go out there and live your ordinary life after you get vaccinated, there's a lot of people who are going to get vaccinated just so they can go back to ordinary life. So here you are just sitting up totally scared and afraid, like there's no actual incentive to go out and get the vaccine. So you're destroying the point of people feeling that they needed to go get it. And it's still continuing on, like Joe Biden got up saying, I'm losing my patience with you guys, and we need the unvaccinated to get vaccinated, protect against the vaccinated. It's like the point of the vaccine was to protect the vaccinated from the virus. So if you need everyone to be vaccinated and everybody can still spread this, it doesn't make any sense. Nothing is adding up. It just seems like you really want to push this. And then people are saying, well, it's not really forced because you can get tested every week. Okay, but if the vaccinated can still spread it, why isn't everyone getting vaccinated every week? Oh. Could it be because you just want to make life so unbearable for people who are unvaccinated until you just break their will and their spirits and they concede? Yes, that's exactly it, because nothing else makes sense. Nothing else makes sense at all. There's no consideration for natural immunity, people actually having the antibodies, and so on. Like, age is the big determining factor about how you will succeed or fail with, survive with this virus, and also your health, your weight, other stuff like that. But pre-existing conditions, but if you're a young, healthy person, they're likely going to be okay, if you just want to talk about facts. And Joy is mad at Nicki Minaj for having conversations on her platform with her fans discussing things, whether the Trinidad thing is true with the swollen testicles or not. She's on the news and they're hyping up such fear porn for the public to consume because they want a never-ending pandemic so they can keep passing bills, so their friends in Congress can pass whatever bills they want to pass, get legislation done. Their friends can keep assuming so much power, and it's the beginning of the shutdowns was the beginning of the end of the Trump presidency. That's when it happened, and he felt like what he was doing whatever was right at the right time. But that was the beginning of the end for him. It really was. So I want to talk a little bit about Joy and Nicki's response to her calling her an Uncle Tom. And she said some other things. There's one tweet I don't have here saved, but I do have. The Breakfast Club decided to talk about it a little bit, and they did mention the tweet that I don't have in here. So here's a clip from the Breakfast Club this morning.
I respect Joy Reid. She's the homie, but she missed the real moment to teach yesterday, because Nicki never said, don't take the vaccine. No. Like, she spoke on why she has vaccine hesitancy, but she also in the very next tweet said she will probably get vaccinated to go on tour. Like, Joy could have used that moment on her show to correct Nicki on whatever misinformation she put out, and she could have said Nicki Minaj is encouraging people to do their research about the vaccine. Nicki put up a poll asking what's the best vaccine. Nicki said Drake is vaccinated, and she's going to get vaccinated to go on tour. So if Drake is vaccinated and Nicki wants to get vaccinated, why aren't you? That's what Joy could have done.
Nicki Minaj responded to Joy Reid. She said, "This is what happens when you're so thirsty to down another black woman by the request of the white man that you didn't bother to read all my tweets. My God, sister, do better. Imagine getting your dumbass on TV a minute after a tweet to spread a false narrative about a black woman." And then somebody said, Nick shouldn't even have to say or explain anything. It's literally in her tweets. All you got to do is read. It's that simple. She said, why would they bother to read when the lie is so juicy and provocative and got her dumbass on TV? They got someone with black skin for a reason. They always use us against us.
Yeah, so that is interesting, and Nicki is right. So on one hand, I don't like the blanket assertion because you don't want, just because you have an opinion, it could be your legitimate opinion, and you don't want someone to accuse you of just having it to be some kind of prop, whether you're Republican or Democrat, which Democrats obviously accuse Republicans of doing that more often. But on the other hand, it's absolutely true that people will try to prop you up to be the black person speaking against another black person. And so one time Candace Owen was on a program, and I think it was with Michael Eric Dyson, and it wasn't one of her best interviews or clapbacks, but she like took the conversation and then shifted it in a why you have me on here talking, when you get me on here talking about any of these subjects, it's like me against another black person. And she noted that. And that is something that people do. It is. There was a political situation that my sister was in, and it seemed like they were trying to set up a black person against her to try to take her down. So, and that was on the right. So it's not an exclusively left-right thing. I'm just Nicki's observation. People do that. People absolutely do that. But Joy Reid has been someone who is talked trash about other black people who have sincerely conservative viewpoints, and she's went after them and called them Uncle Toms and so on. So here is a clip of her going after Clarence Thomas.
Bold by him, so we'll see.
Well, and the Supreme Court, and he mentioned the Supreme Court and was very specific about that. And he did telegraph
as if he could just take the election, call it over,
right?
Announce that there won't be any more voting, and that the Supreme Court will take over. That's not how it works.
It's not exactly clear that we can trust Amy Coney Barrett and Kavanaugh and these others not to be just like Bill Barr. And so I think what scares people is that if he decides to do something that it legally makes no sense, and you're right, but Mr. Bauer is ready for him. But if somehow they manage to stumble into the Supreme Court, do any of you guys trust Uncle Clarence and Amy Coney Barrett and those guys to actually follow the letter of the law? No. I mean, it is a completely politicized Supreme Court.
So she called him Uncle Clarence as an Uncle Tom reference. And if you know anything about Uncle Tom's Cabin, where the term uncle comes from, it's really like the Uncle Tom slur. It's really disgusting to the legacy of what this book did. It's a book, it was adapted to a stage play, and once people were able to see, especially like in the North, like P.T. Barnum started like having the plays in his museums, and it was other places and stuff, and people got to just have a glimpse into the plight of the Negro, of the slave, and it softened people's hearts toward wanting to end slavery. So this book has a tremendous legacy, and the fact that people use it today as a racial slur to come after black people who don't think the way that you believe that they should be able to because you want to mentally enslave them, it's disgusting. And everyone who's basically used that term has done nothing to the degree to help black people that book, that character has done. So obviously that is disgusting of Joy to do. So it is some karma. Not that I really believe in karma, but it's the word, we understand it. It's the boomerang coming back to her. She totally deserves that. And that's also nonsensical. Clarence Thomas is, whether you agree with him or not, he's a conservative justice that usually goes to the law. Like if you read some of these rulings that have come out with the left side of the bench, they'll be like, well, this clearly First Amendment case, we have to look at how people might be in danger. It's like, what does the law say, sweetheart? So there's people who have ideology that they ascribe to, and I don't really think that's Clarence Thomas so much. And people have been coming for Clarence Thomas for a very long time, back to Joe Biden doing his high-tech lynching. But she also said some stuff about Senator Tim Scott. And so Trey Gotti did a intro talking about it one night. So I'm going to play a clip of his show.
In what was supposed to be a segment about the minimum wage, she could not resist taking a shot at United States Senator Tim Scott. This is what she said.
Gotta love the Tim Scott standing there to provide the patina of diversity over that round of words, that basket full of words.
A patina of diversity. To save you the trouble of looking that word up, a patina is a superficial covering. It's her way of calling Senator Scott a prop or a token. But she's done that too in the past.
While your appointment is seen by some as a measure of progress, others have called you a mere token, elevated only to show that the GOP has gotten the diversity memo it missed this past election. But I do hope that as a senator, you'll prove those who call you a token wrong.
So why would she do that? Why would she do that? Get on that show. That obviously that's some time ago, but she got on her show and said, people call you a token. Because obviously that's what you think, and that's what you want to put in people's minds and their hearts. When there's a black Republican who has a seat of power, you want to totally discredit them. And so when she mentioned in that first clip that they show with her talking about Senator Tim Scott, Trey Gotti went off about this because that's a dear friend of his. But if she knew anything, which she does the news, she should know, is that he is an expert in tax law, and he helped write the tax bill that was passed under the Trump administration. That he's a business owner, so he actually had to do payroll, do line of credit, other kind of stuff like that. Unlike a lot of other people who are in the Senate and Congress, he actually knows what it's like to run a business. He was on the Finance Committee, the Ways and Means Committee. So he has a lot of experience. So he's not just a prop, which other people called him a prop when he was like at the tax bill signing and stuff, or doing a press conference. It's like, he helped write the bill. Why shouldn't he be there? So when people are so quick to just discredit people and all you see is his color, you don't understand how racist that is. That he could have contributed nothing of merit to the conversation, and he's one of the main people who passed the bill, who wrote the bill, because he has an expertise. They didn't call him because he's black, but Joy Reid attacked him because he's black, and she thought she could get away with it because she's black. So Nicki Minaj calling out the fact that Joy Reid would come after a black person because her white masters, who, the people who run the network, think that would be juicy and interesting. Can't say it didn't happen. Can't say it doesn't happen. Am I saying that's the case with Nicki here? I don't think so. It was trending a lot last night. It was news. It was newsworthy. It was newsworthy last night. It's newsworthy for me to talk about it today. But Nicki made it super newsworthy. Oh yes, she did. So I'm not going to say that this was the case, that she was, that it had to be a black on black crime thing here, but she very well could have looked at her tweets and just kind of laughed a little bit about the testicle thing, but she didn't have to be like, oh, she's so irresponsible. Well, you could do an investigation on her cousin's friend's testicles or whatever it was and see if it was really swelling, and that's why the wedding was called off. And again, I think that story doesn't sound like it adds up at all. But there was other people telling their experiences. And to me, the tweet that we should be talking about is the fact that she was talking to someone who said that they have to get it because they won't be able to provide for their family if they don't. And a worldwide celebrity said, I'm probably going to have to get it too because I'm going to have to want to tour. So people are obviously having their arms twisted. They're liberties infringed. No, she doesn't have a constitutional right to go ahead and do concerts. She doesn't. But how much are we willing to take? How much are we willing to take of all this? They told you we just need 15 days so we won't overwhelm the hospital. That's what they told you, right? That's what they told you. That's what they told all of us. 15 days so they won't overwhelm the hospitals. Then they said, we'll just slow the spread. Then they said, so the hospitals won't be overwhelmed. They kept saying that. And then it just became clear that they were just trying to hold out everything until maybe there is a vaccine. But the more that former President Trump was talking about, well, there's going to be a vaccine. People are talking about it every day. Like, we're getting close, we're getting close. They saw that they could really control a lot of the government, and especially how the election could be if the country was continued to close down. So they started pushing vaccine hesitancy, and it wasn't just her, Joy. It was Kamala Harris. It was Joe Biden. It was Andrew Cuomo, and there were others. Like, I'm not going to get it. Why would you trust the FDA? If Trump did it, we have to make sure that Trump's fingerprints on it. What, you think he's in a lab? You think he took a day off of being president to go in a lab and poke around with beakers? Of course not. You're just stupid. Or you're not stupid. You just are really banking on the fact of your audience being stupid, or so induced with fear that they'll accept you're stupid. So they profited a lot with having the country shut down. Her team won. A lot of big businesses got bigger. A lot of these people who are donors. And they were like, just play along. Remember when Biden said, we just need 100 days of masking? And he encouraged people to go out and get the vaccine. Now people are still masked. People are still masking. There's lockdowns that people are imposing in places. And it would probably be worse if there weren't like races coming up, like in California, if there wasn't a recall. Godspeed, Larry Elder. We'll see what happens. But I did see some election shenanigans I reported on yesterday that's pretty bizarre. But we'll see what happens. I'm not convinced that California wants to be free. So they may keep their tyrant that imposes lockdowns and all this other kind of stuff while dining at the French Laundry. I'm not convinced they want to be free. A lot of them have had enough, but I'm not convinced enough of them want to be free. And there might be more stuff going down in Michigan we did strip the governor of a lot of powers. But she's also going to have a tough race ahead of her too, I believe, in 2022. So some of that is keeping people from going hardcore, but they don't have to necessarily do that because Biden came out and is trying to twist businesses to do it. And big businesses can comply because they don't want the liability of people getting sick and have to face that kind of stuff anyway. And then small business, it puts a lot of other people in a bind. And big businesses don't mind government. It may annoy them, but they can get around a lot of big government intervention, and they know their competitors can't. So that's why some of them will clap and cheer on, because they know other people are having a harder time, and they'll survive, and they'll weather the storm. Because they have lobbyists, and they give a lot of money to people who make a lot of decisions. But Joy Reid, she's pushed a lot of bad information. She's pushed a lot of fear. But someone she can't push around is Nicki Minaj. Oh my gosh. So I had a lot of fun with this story with Nicki, tweeting all this stuff. And it was hilarious. So, and I think she raised some good points, and she didn't really look at the context of her tweets. I went through her thread and I read them and the responses, and people are trying to come at me for like saying that Nicki said that people deserve a choice. People don't even want people to have a choice on the matter. In your own health. It doesn't make any sense, especially at a time when people are saying my body, my choice, being upset about the Texas bill. And like at the exact same time as they're hysterical about you should absolutely be forced to get the vaccine. Whether you are vaccinated or not, I think it's time that we just tell the government they gotta shove it. Biden said he's running out of patience. My patience has long been gone. But I mostly just kind of ignore all the stuff, but I know not everybody is in that position. So that's one reason why I do what I do. So let's move on to the Met Gala. Let's move on to the Met Gala, where all this, I guess, kind of started with Nicki because people thought she was going to go. But I never know about the Met Gala when it's there until I see outrageous outfits trending on Twitter. So AOC had a dress that, actually before I get to AOC, there was this dress that Congresswoman Maloney had on. It says equal rights. And people just noticed that all the staff there had to be masked, but the guest obviously did not. So that's funny. That's funny. Where's the science in this? That everyone else has to be masked, but the people who are the guests there don't? I would assume that the staff are probably vaccinated to work there. So what is this? Are they just, is it just that they don't want any sort of liability if something happens? Or that just makes the celebrities feel better to have the help masked and muzzled while they get to smile pretty for the cameras? Because if people are really still that concerned about COVID, like I know life has to go on, but you could always just not have the Met Gala this year. You could do that. You could obviously do that, but I just thought it was funny. The juxtaposition of all these muzzled women with this woman wearing equal rights for women. She could have had a dress that said, free the women of Afghanistan, or why did we abandon the women of Afghanistan? But she's been pretty mum on the very poor exit. So politicians, they're not great. They're not great. They just kind of suck. So AOC had a tax the rich dress, and people were going gaga over it and talking a lot about that. I believe that's Megan Fox right behind her, looking like a fox, actually. She looks really pretty. Of course, I don't approve of the outfit, though, but she's got a really striking face. So anyway, you got AOC there in her tax the rich dress, and people are pointing out that AOC is at the Met Gala, and obviously you pay a lot for these tickets. They can cost like $30,000. So she said that a lot of elected officials from New York go there. The thing is that she's just not any other elected official. She is someone who's very socialist focused. So if you're going to have a tax the rich, eat the rich kind of mentality, why do you gather at the Met Gala, which is like, it's basically, you know, the scene in the Hunger Games when they're like having the big party before they actually go into the Hunger Games, and all the poor people who are like poor from across the nation come and they have to fight to the death for the amusement of everyone else, so there's no war. It's kind of like the absurdity that you would see like at the Met Gala. And so there's just a lot of fake people there doing the whole revolution thing that probably like clap like, oh, I love you, AOC, for your dumb views because I share your same dumb views. And she could have always, the best thing probably would have been, but I mean, she's not as dumb as people think she is. She's very savvy, AOC. She understands the social media, but most importantly, she understands that her fans will let her get away with anything, including wearing a tax the rich dress at the Met Gala and being just a part of the absurd spectacle. And I did a TikTok about it, that saying that she's very savvy and people let her get away with it, and people in the comments let me know that I was absolutely correct as they defended her in the comments of the video. I'm just like, you're just proving my point. She could have always protested such a thing and thrown because in this response, people asked her like, what's her response? And in case you can't read that, because I don't know if that's too small, but essentially she blamed it on people coming after her because she's a working class a blue collar woman and also a woman of color, and people just go after people, especially as it's tacked on all the different kind of intersectional things. They just hate you more and more and more. So that's really why they're going after her, because she's a woman and because she's of color and she's blue collar. And she gets paid six figures to pass legislation. And right now, a lot of the legislation that she's trying to pass is going to do things that are going to hurt people across the board, spectrum, period. She has a lot of her ideology is based around utopia magic, not reality. She's not someone like Senator Tim Scott, who's actually had to run a business, understands how payroll works and all that other kind of stuff. She can say dumb things like the world's going to end in 12 years from climate change, and then just move the spectrum when obviously we're not going to die in 12 years from climate change. And people say, well, that was just a joke. No, she did like an entire video about it. That was not a joke. She can say things like that and try to get legislation passed. It's just absurd. That'll make everyone's taxes go up, not just people making $400,000 a year. That she can try to pass things that will kill good jobs for blue collar workers, and not bat an eye because she's just really into her ideology. And she could have not gone to the Met Gala, released a statement that said, this is an absurd thing. I will not, I'm with the working people. Joe Manchin wasn't at something like that. Of course, it's not like he's not a politician in the area that would go to something like that. But I mean, the point is that a lot of these people who talk about the rich and the elitist and et cetera just really want to be part of that club. Bernie Sanders talked a lot about taxing the millionaires and the billionaires. Well, he became a millionaire. So now it's like, we got to tax the billionaires. Why don't you give a little bit more of what you got? Like doesn't she drive a Tesla? Remember a couple months ago, she got into Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire because she tried to say that her abuela's roof was messed up and tried to blame it on Trump. And so obviously that wasn't true, and she just politicized the story, and Trump wasn't the reason why the roofs weren't messed up in Puerto Rico. And by the way, if you are a person of means and you're upset that your grandma's roof is messed up, why are you complaining about the government not fixing the roof? Go ahead and take care of your grandma. Go take care of your grandma yourself. But she could have always decided not to go, and then, I don't know, held her own gala for the working class or something like that, for the blue collar. She could have did some kind of stunt like that instead of going to the Met Gala and tax the rich dress. But they want to be part of that club. It's the most on-brand thing that she could have done for herself. So she did it, and I'm not surprised. But people like her could always, who reject capitalism or have such criticism for capitalism, they could, I mean, she's getting money from taxpayers, but if she wants to really give back, she could donate her salary or a lot of it. But obviously she needs a place to live, and DC places can be expensive. So she needs a place to live and stuff. So she's got to have some expenses, but that's part of life. And that's why you shouldn't pass job killing regulations and laws. So, and then someone pointed out on Twitter, the most absurd thing about this whole Met Gala thing and her going is that people go to the Met Gala and it's, charity for I think it's a museum and stuff and the arts, and they'll pay those tickets and then they'll get, charitable credits or whatever for their taxes. So it's basically a big tax shelter sort of thing. And so she goes to protest the rich in a place where they'll just write off their richness by hobnobbing with celebrities who go to these things to hang out. So it's just really amazing. It's just so AOC. And then to release a statement that's like, they're just coming at me because I'm a woman of color who's blue collar because you worked at a coffee shop. I mean, I'm not going to say it's not impressive that she won her seat in Congress, but obviously she went after a competitor that wasn't willing to compete. So props to her for taking that initiative to see that vulnerability there, authority there and getting herself in there. But what Nancy Pelosi said, like a glass of water could run in that district and win because it's just so overwhelmingly Democrat. And that's how a lot of districts are. Not for red places and blue places. If there's an 80-20 district, or it's probably more severe than that. I'm not sure. But anyone could win that if you get past the primary. She took out her opponent and then she won. And so I give her props for that. But a lot of the stuff that she does and the squad does in general is just nonsensical. But she does have a bit of an art form, especially with the people who are following her, because a lot of them don't know better, but she just can speak their language and they just yes queen all day long. So a lot of people who talk about being one of the people and helping people, they could do more to do that themselves. Like, she was willing to show up and raise money to show up Ted Cruz when he went to Cancun. She showed up in Texas and raised a bunch of money. I'm not going to say it wasn't totally to be charitable, but it was obviously to make him look bad. But you could choose to be charitable and do things for people every day. And she could have made a different statement than going to the Met Gala. And she could have made a bigger splash by not going to the Met Gala. But she wanted the conversation to be, she shows up in the tax the rich dress. That's what the conversation was going to be. And are people talking about taxing the rich? I guess so. But are they having honest conversations about taxing the rich? Because a lot of them already are taxed and pay a vast majority of the taxes. And then those people that she was hobnobbing with last night, they'll probably go, yeah, tax the rich, as they're talking to their accountants about how they can not get taxed. It was a publicity stunt, and we're talking about it. Obviously, she's absurd, but it's news, and I wanted to talk about it. And my sister did call me and say, you got to talk about this. You got to light her on fire. But that's about all I got to say about AOC. That's about all I got to say with AOC. Something I do want to talk about really quick that happened over the weekend that I wanted this to be my main like meme kind of thing for the day, but I just kind of jumped in the story. Joe Biden, this isn't a meme, but it's a very good, funny prank though. So Joe Biden was out and some kids were like, hey, can we take a picture with you? And he said, sure. And all the kids got like Trump gear on. They got Trump hats, Make America Great Again. Someone has a picture with Trump on their shirt that says he'll be back or I'll be back. And Joe Biden's just got his mask down, smiling with the kids, with his aviator glasses on. His staff like does not care. Well, I guess those are like probably Secret Service right there. And his staff just did not notice. And this is so glorious and so hilarious. And those kids are legends, but man, staff just like, I mean, what can you say? You're gonna say no to a group of kids because what they're wearing, but this was such a funny troll. So kudos to those kids. That is hilarious, absolutely hysterical. But maybe Joe knew that, and he just had a sense of humor about it, or he's just a walking skeleton who can't respond. Who knows? Last thing I want to mention before I close up my show, they are grilling Anthony Blinken about the Afghanistan exit. I believe that one reason why they said the strict stuff about the mandates is to get people kind of focused off of the Afghanistan exit debacle. But last night they were talking about sending them, was it 84 million, 94 million? No, I'm sorry. It was probably like 64 million. Millions of dollars in aid. They said it's not going to go to the Taliban. They said it's going to go to other groups, but I don't have confidence that the Taliban isn't getting money. But I talked a lot yesterday about the civilians who were killed in the drone strike that was supposed to be against ISIS-K, and the New York Times did wonderful reporting. I know it's like, what? New York Times did wonderful reporting? Yeah, they did reporting, and it seems like it's on the up and up, but they followed the life of the man that they were targeting and who was killed. And the military or the Pentagon and them, they tried to say that the civilians, a lot of them were killed in a secondary explosion from bombs that are in the car. They didn't find any bombs. Well, I'm not going to say the military didn't find any bombs, but from investigations, and they said weapons experts, they said there wasn't evidence of that explosion going off, of there being that, and what the military, I guess, thought were bombs were actually like canisters for water, because this man was like into aid, and he brought some water home for his village and his family. So I just can't imagine going to work where you like feed people and you drive your coworkers around just doing stuff that you do normally on every day, and knowing that your village is low on water, so you make sure that you load it up with canisters so you can bring water home to your family, and then you go to your, before you go home, you go into your workplace and you fill up the water and you load it into your car, and you and your buddies, you bring home your laptops and so on, and you drive home, and then someone in the military is like, this is my chance. And they drone strike them. They drone strike them. And then they get up in line and said, oh, it was just. There was a secondary explosion that didn't happen. So Rand Paul grilled Lincoln a little bit, and I'm sure we'll go into more of this tomorrow.
The money. If they behave, you're going to give them the money. Why don't we subtract the $80 billion from the $10 billion you're going to give them? Then they're minus 70 still. I mean, really, the fact that you're entertaining good behavior, that they'll get more money, I think is a big mistake and a naive notion that we're going to somehow change this Stone Age philosophy by giving them more of our money. We've sunk trillions of dollars over this. This is our chance to have a peace dividend. Let's quit sending good money after bad. The guy the Biden administration droned, was he an aid worker or an ISIS-K operative?
The administration is, of course, reviewing that strike, and I'm sure that a full assessment will be forthcoming.
So you don't know if it was an aid worker or an ISIS-K operative?
I can't speak to that, and I can't speak to that in this setting in any event.
So you don't know or won't tell us?
I don't know, because we're reviewing it.
Well, see, you'd think you'd kind of know before you off somebody with a Predator drone, whether he's an aid worker or he's an ISIS-K. See, the thing is this isn't just you. It's been going on for administration after administration. The Obama administration droned hundreds and hundreds of people. And the thing is there is blowback to that. I mean, I don't know if it's true, but I see these pictures of these beautiful children that were killed in the attack. If that's true, and not propaganda, if that's true, guess what? Maybe you created hundreds or thousands of new potential terrorists from bombing the wrong people. So you got to know we can't sort of have an investigation after we kill people. We have an investigation before we kill.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe he's right. That's how you make more terrorists. And these people, this man who they killed, his job had just applied for him to get like refugee status. So he was trying to come to America to be safe. And he got droned, and kids got droned. And they're just like, well, we don't know. You don't know. You should have known and been sure before. You can't just say that you made a mistake. This isn't going away, and it shouldn't go away. And I'm glad they're having some hearings today, but man, there should already be resignations for some of this crazy stuff that happened. And this is a heck of a way to end a 20-year war by killing an aid worker who wanted to become a refugee and come to America, the home of the free and the brave, being led by incompetent liars. I don't know if Biden's incompetency is just contagious, but I can't understand or fathom just some of his people and how poorly they're running things, managing things. And maybe it's just because they don't know how to work around these really bad decisions that Biden is making, and they're just stumped and they don't know what to say and how to respond. I didn't like a lot of things that Obama did, and some of these people are from the Obama administration. So, but it seemed like they're a lot neater, even with the things I didn't like. This is just like people kept pitching Trump's administration in chaos. This is like real chaos, and I hope they get to the bottom of a lot of this stuff, because it is unfortunate. It's not just unfortunate. And it's not just a tragedy, it's totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. But I'm sure we will talk more about that tomorrow. Before I close out, please go to blacktnews.com. Not, literally before I end, but just keep it in mind. Go to blacktnews.com to check out content that I've written. Follow me on all my social media on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok and Instagram. It's at Black Tea News. And on Twitter, it's at True Black Tea. Please go to the website, blacktnews.com/donate, if you would like to contribute to the site, the show, what we're doing here. Please feel free to do that. And also, if you would be so kind, check out the store and the different merchandise we got. We got the cool goat hoodies. We got the shirts too. Denounce white supremacy, defeat Joe Biden shirt with the list on the back of some racist stuff that Joe Biden's done. We also have Trump shirts. We got I Am Not the Victim You're Looking For. It's one of my favorites. Also got black tea stuff. And also I do love that You Are Not That Special. And I do have a special kind of AOC shirt planned that I will have out today that I'm sorry I didn't have time to show you before the show came on. But I hope the tea was delicious today. I had fun talking about it. I had a lot of fun talking about it, especially yesterday was, like I said, kind of heavy, so I'm glad I just had the juicy stuff, the delicious stuff, and thank you, Nicki Minaj. I definitely had some Shadafornia experiencing her going after Joy Reid, and I wonder how much she'll talk about it tonight on her show. She'll address it at all. If she will, I guess I'll probably address it again a little bit tomorrow, so I'll be on the lookout for that, but I was glad she roasted her, and if anyone deserved it, it's Joy Reid. God bless you guys, and I'll see you.